Welcome, welcome to our panel, and thanks so much to the VFF Fintech Forum 2022 for inviting us to participate. My name is Ada Vaughan, and I'm here to speak with two experts in the payments and blockchain field, Mr. Luther Madej, the head of Fintech Strategy and Innovation from MoneyGram International, and Jason Chlipala, the Chief Operating Officer of Stellar Development Foundation. Thank you so much for attending today and talking about this very interesting collaboration and partnership between your organizations. I'm going to ask each of you to just give a really brief intro on your background and your current role and how it touches this collaboration. So I'll take Jason first.
Hi, so really happy to be here. As Ada said, I'm Jason Chlipala. I'm the COO here at SDF. And we're the foundation that shepherds the Stellar code base and tries to make it a success. And so in my role, I kind of touch all areas of the business, certainly all areas of operations, and was also pretty, was very involved in forming this partnership with MoneyGram and various other strategic partnerships. And it's been kind of a few years in the making, so it's been really exciting to kind of see it come to fruition now, and really excited to talk more about it today.
Thanks so much, Jason. Luther.
Yeah, Luther Madej here. I'm relatively new at MoneyGram, been here for about 2 months, but super excited. I'm the head of Fintech Strategy and Innovation here at MoneyGram, which means that I get to focus, and one of the remits that I have is focusing on this partnerships that we have with the Stellar Development Foundation, and then focusing on other key partnerships where we're growing, where we operate, and how we operate.
Excellent. So it sounds like both of your roles really touch this kind of intersection of fintech and blockchain. Let's get into the details of kind of how this collaboration works. I'll start with you, Luther. Can you tell us exactly what is MoneyGram Access and how does it fit into the suite of services offered by MoneyGram around the world?
Absolutely. In June of this year, so basically 2022, MoneyGram and Stellar Development Foundation launched really a first of its kind global on and off ramp service for digital wallets that created a bridge between cash and cryptocurrencies. And basically what that did is increase the utility of the digital assets that are in those wallets, right? And it's that service which is called MoneyGram Access. With MoneyGram Access, any Stellar-enabled digital wallet can seamlessly integrate to MoneyGram and immediately have access to the 240,000 plus locations that MoneyGram has globally. And to kind of dive in a little deeper, what this basically does, it means is any customer who's using a digital wallet that's on the Stellar blockchain can now walk into a MoneyGram location, use their cash to buy crypto or cash out from crypto directly into cash without ever having to use their credit card, debit card, or bank account.
It's fantastic. It seems like very high utility and kind of an unexpected partnership. Jason, can you talk a little bit about how it came together? I think people generally think of blockchain and crypto as disruptive to a traditional cross-border payment system. How did the partnership with MoneyGram even take shape?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we've known a lot of the folks at MoneyGram for a few years and have been talking over that time. And I think the real breakthrough was flipping that sort of disruption paradigm to get to this use case. I think a lot of people in blockchain have been approaching projects like this from the perspective of, let's take something that a legacy player does and let's replace that with blockchain. So let's take something they do now and do it better. In some cases that can work, of course, but take a company like MoneyGram. They've spent I don't know the exact number of years, 70 plus years building out this amazing agent infrastructure, cash infrastructure. The idea that you can just replace one piece of that and all of a sudden it's better, that's not so likely. And so a lot of people were focusing on it from that perspective. They were thinking, there are these issues with cross-border payments. Let's just replace one piece of the infrastructure with other infrastructure. What we ended up realizing and doing is flipping that a little bit. It was no longer what can a blockchain do for MoneyGram? It was what can MoneyGram do for a blockchain? Again, they've spent all this time and quite frankly, invested all this capital and effort into building out this infrastructure. well, wouldn't it be great if that could benefit a blockchain, in this case, of course, Stellar? And so sort of flip that. And what you have now, like Luther was just explaining, is anyone using Stellar or any wallet on Stellar now has the benefit of this incredible infrastructure. And, you know, cash isn't going anywhere. A lot of people, you know, people have been predicting its demise for a long time. And maybe eventually cash will go away. But today, I think the latest statistics are something like 60% of adults globally are in the so-called informal economy, you know, really cash-based. So it's not going anywhere. And if people in the blockchain industry really want to impact individuals' lives, we need to have that connection, or as Luther described it, that bridge between the two. And so that's what we were so excited about on the Stellar Development Foundation side, because, you know, we view as our mission increasing equitable access to the global financial system. And there's this huge piece of that system that crypto and blockchain really weren't touching yet. And MoneyGram is the way to connect those two things.
Yeah, it's really, and you kind of flowed right into the topic that I wanted to touch on, which is being a mission-driven organization that uses blockchain to further financial access and financial inclusion. It's easy to see how this could be transformational to people who don't have access to ordinary financial services that a lot of us take for granted. So that's really exciting. So turning back to MoneyGram International for a moment, Luther, I read recently, I think it was an FXC report analyzing second quarter results for the public company. And it seemed like, you know, striking actually the rise of the digital services and the growth that it's showing in that part of the business. What are some of the technologies contributing to that growth? And do you see this as part of a larger trend for MoneyGram International?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Ada. You know, let's first talk about like the digital growth aspect of it, right? So we've seen a great response from our consumers to our digital first strategy. And so all the investments that we've made thus far and the investments that we're continuing to make, there's been a great response. And the response is the numbers, right? So we're currently digitally enabled in 100 plus countries, over 100 plus countries. And if you look at our 100% of our transactions, almost 44% of those transactions are completed digitally, which basically means that they're done on the website or they're completed on the app, right? So then if we talk about like what's driving that, I would kind of break that down to like three things. One is the app that we talked about, which it's called MoneyGram Online. Fantastic app, has nearly 5-star ratings across all major app platforms. The second thing really is the way that people receive the assets, right? And by what I mean by that is usually when people think about MoneyGram, people think about just cash flowing in and out. Well, now people who are receiving can actually receive it in cash. They can receive it into their bank account. They can actually receive it into a local digital wallet, like if you think of like Paytm or something in India. And really, we, you know, huge thanks to one of our partners, Visa Direct, for enabling a lot of this functionality for us. And then thirdly is our consumer base, right? We're constantly seeking new consumer bases, but we are very, very, you know, blessed with a great existing consumer base with a high retention rate. That's really helped from that perspective.
And I'll just kind of piggyback. I think it's interesting, you know, that answer is all, you know, Luther's answer, it was all about expanding, you know, all of these different methods and growing who has access to this. Again, I think sometimes in the blockchain industry, people have this view of, you know, let's replace everything with blockchain. And so like, let almost consolidate it down to, in some cases, the most maximalist would say, you know, one currency and you know, one set of rails. And it doesn't have to be like that. Again, maybe eventually, I personally don't think that's going to happen, but maybe. But for now, it's more about expanding. And so, you know, Luther just talked about all of these different rails that, you know, MoneyGram Online already touches. And then, you know, with the Stellar partnership, that's another set. And so it's another way that we're very much aligned. You know, we're looking to expand. These are additional tools that people and businesses can use. They don't have to supplant anything. They can supplement and expand.
And Jason, as you think about the expansion of usage of the Stellar network and applications being built to interact with the MoneyGram capabilities, what do you see as some of the highest impact areas or companies?
Yeah, so two use cases come to mind right away. I mean, the first is sort of the simpler one, which is like we've talked about, just sort of connecting crypto and that cash economy. So people who, they've been hearing about all this crypto stuff, they have no way to get access to that. The ability to cash in, use a MoneyGram location, walk in with cash, walk out with a digital asset, and then if they want to then explore that world of digital assets, they can. So I think that's one. So like for exchanges, for example, that's very, very compelling to them. The other one that I personally think is really exciting is you can think of this as the gig economy or freelancers or digital nomads, whatever buzzy term you want to use for it. The idea that if you're a platform that wants to pay out to individuals like this, you can now just pay in USDC on Stellar and then know that any of those individuals, essentially wherever they are, they could cash out into fiat. And they might move, especially if we're talking about digital nomads, you as that platform, you can just focus on paying out in USDC and then let essentially the Stellar infrastructure and the MoneyGram infrastructure take care of the rest. So when it comes to the actual applications and companies, I think any sort of platform that is focused on freelancers or gig economy, and then on the other side, any wallet that would want to cater to those individuals, because that's where the payout would go to. They would receive it into that wallet. And like Luther said, what's nice about this partnership is it's any Stellar enabled wallet can do this. And so it doesn't need to be one wallet to kind of cover everyone. You could have a wallet that's very freelancer focused, or a wallet that's very, Uber driver or a similar sort of use case focus. So those are the two that come to mind, kind of connecting, crypto with the cash economy, and then gig workers or freelance workers and payouts to these individuals that right now it's kind of tough to reach them broadly, and a platform that wants to do that would need to do a lot of different integrations. With this, they can do essentially one integration and then cover globally.
Absolutely. Luther, can you talk a little bit about the importance of fiat pegged, tokenized digital assets, what we call stable coins? What is the role, do you think, of these sorts of, digital money in the ecosystem around MoneyGram?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? So, I mean, what we're talking about here, it's not a new concept. It's relatively new, but it's not brand new from that perspective, where people have looked at digital assets like Bitcoins, etc. But I think the biggest thing that you get from a fiat-backed stablecoin like USDC is the stability, right? Which is the biggest thing that comes with using an asset like that, right? There's other stablecoins, etc. But like when you look at USDC, the fact that it's backed by every USDC is backed by a dollar, it gives us, from a money transfer perspective, a great instrument that we can use that is stable. So when it comes to converting to different currencies, you have one, it's like a lighthouse, right? This is our lighthouse that we can set, that we can use as a stable part of that particular transaction. And that stability means a lot for us, because we operate in 190 plus countries. So having and to peg it back to typically a dollar would be the best thing. But then this is really even better than that, to have USDC, which is backed by a dollar.
Definitely. And Jason, can you comment a little bit more about stablecoins, USDC, and others?
Yeah, I mean, so I of course agree with everything Luther just said. I think the promise here, or what is so exciting, is this idea of it can start to feel almost like a bank account without it needing to actually be a bank account. Or another way I like to think of this is, what's great about cash? Cash is simple. It's the simplicity and the finality. The downside is it doesn't have as much reach. You obviously are limited by kind of your literal physical reach. You can't send it. On the other side, you have digital money, which of course is nothing new. Anything in your bank is essentially digital money. That has, it's flipped. That has amazing reach. You can essentially send it anywhere all over the world, but it's more complicated. It's not as simple. Settlement isn't immediate. It's just harder to understand. stable coins kind of combine the two. You get the simplicity and the finality of cash, but you get the reach of electronic payment means. So I think that's the promise, that people can walk around with this thing, you know, kind of in their pocket on a device, and get the reach of an electronic form of money, but the simplicity of cash.
And Luther, as far as, you know, technology products obviously have their roadmaps and periods of rollout and testing and all these things. Can you talk about what's available today in terms of the service? What should, you know, folks who are watching this chat in the fintech world be looking to do with MoneyGram today as it relates to this product?
Yeah, given the fact that we went live in June, I'm happy to report that we are absolutely live, which basically means that we can offer cash out in 190 plus countries and cash in currently in 12 countries, but we're constantly adding a ton more countries, and you know, every month we add new countries. So definitely, you know, it depends on when you're asking us, but I think from a cash in perspective, it's an ever increasing list of countries.
Excellent, excellent. I will try to get a link to a country list as well. I know that we probably have watchers from all parts of the world, but particularly in Asia. So definitely will try to communicate that in the chat during this chat. And then finally, we're coming to the end of our session, but I would love to have just some concluding remarks from each of you. I'll start with Jason. You know, is there any advice that you would give to companies that are looking to build on top of this technology? You know, any surprises along the way, or anything you want to comment on in terms of standing up fintech solutions in emerging markets?
Yeah, I think two things. One is don't ignore cash. You know, it matters. It still matters, and it will continue to. And you know, by the way, we talk a lot about the unbanked for obvious reasons, but this also has applications for people even with bank accounts. You know, you only have to look at kind of younger generations and how much they use things like Venmo and Cash App. There's definitely a swath of people that we wouldn't normally think of as the unbanked, but are choosing fintech solutions that are less bank-like. So, you know, just as I said, cash isn't going anywhere. Banks aren't going anywhere either, and they will continue to play an incredibly important role. But just want to make that point that this, you know, this isn't just sort of the traditional sector of the unbanked. But to your question, so I'd say, yeah, don't ignore cash. You know, even if you are a fintech, think about how can you get access to that key infrastructure, and how can you give people the benefit of cash in and cash out. And then the second point I would make is, you know, you asked about what are applications and use cases we're excited about, and I talked about a few, but the point of this is sort of the stuff we haven't thought about yet. You know, we're so excited to be working with MoneyGram because of the scale. You know, like Luther just talked about, the hundreds of countries that they're in. I think you guys have over 400,000 locations around the world. So the point of this is to get this truly global scale, and then have it work with any Stellar wallet, and then, you know, see the use cases that we haven't thought of, because there certainly will be those. And that's what's so exciting about this. So those would be my 2 points. Kind of don't ignore cash. And the point of this is the stuff we haven't thought of yet, not the exact use cases we're already doing and focused on.
Yeah, great to have that open attitude towards innovation. Absolutely. Luther, a few more comments?
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, I think the strength of this partnership, and if you look at the opportunity that this unlocks, is quite immense, right? So where we get really excited, and I think where Stellar Foundation and Jason and I really get excited, is the fact that we're basically opening up this crypto economy to a whole swath of people that didn't really have an easy way to access it, right? This takes out that middle step and gives them a faster and easier way to kind of interact with that, which basically just increases the number of participants in the overall economy, in the global economy. And that excites us every day.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much for your commentary today. I learned a lot, and it was great to hear how this collaboration came together. I know that companies, people who are watching this chat, companies that are interested in building on the technology can reach out to all of us, and we look forward to seeing what people come up with next.